Hi guys and welcome to I'm a Biker, and finally we got to ride the Hero Maverick 440. It's an interesting bike and let's get into the details. So in case you did not know yet, Hero and Harley Davidson are combined in terms of developing this platform. And they have made this beautiful engine, they made this beautiful bike. There's the Harley version of it called the X440, and then of course there's the little bit budget oriented and Indianized Maverick 440. Little bit difference between the both. The torque is about 2 Nm down on the Maverick. The front wheel is 17 inch, on the Harley it is 18 inch, and of course the design changes and also the equipment, digital meters and things like that have changed all around the bike. On the Maverick, you can say somewhat that it has been built to a budget. Like for example, to make that first variant, the spoke wheel variant has been priced at 1.99 lakh. Of course, and then the top end variant goes to about 2.24 ex showroom, and there's a mid variant as well. I will tell you which variant is the best value for money as well. So about the bike, well, if you're looking for an easy rider, something on the lines, I don't want to say exactly, but something on the lines of the classic 350 and probably the Highness as well, but a totally different style, but sort of budgeted around the same area. Well, that's what the Maverick is all about. You got plenty of torque. You have 36 Nm of torque coming in at 4,000 RPM, and almost 90% of it available from as low as 2,000 RPM. So the moment you're on the road, you actually forget which gear you are in, because in the first, second, third, fourth, even in fifth gear, there is plenty of torque available when you're in that 2 to 4, 5,000 RPM range. And every time you open up the throttle, the vehicle just pulls. In fact, in first gear, we were doing a couple of top speed runs to just find out, while this vehicle is not exactly meant for top speeds, I'll get to that. We just wanted to find out how much it'll do a top speed. The first gear, we were launching, there's a lot of torque available. So when you pop the clutch, the wheel sort of like gets a little bit of air. So we're like, okay, you need to take a little bit more relaxed to get the right top speed, the right launch. Talking about the engine, so I told you it's a torque monster. First, second, third, fourth gear, you can just roll along in the city, and I think that's where this vehicle is going to be the best. City rides, even with the pillion, you have a lot of torque available, and you're just going to enjoy pulling through in any gear. Just in traffic, you don't have to really be bothered about it, whether you are in sixth gear. You maybe in sixth gear probably you have to downshift, but in third, fourth gear you'll have plenty of torque to even go as low as 20, 30 and then pull away cleanly. So that is something really that I enjoyed. Out on the highway, this is not exactly a fast tourer. You can sit at 90 to 100 comfortably, and the RPM would be just around 4,100 RPM, and that's really a sweet spot, and everything is really refined and smooth, and you can just sit at those speeds like 90 to 100 all day long. But the moment you push it further, once it crosses the 4,500 and reaches the 5,000 mark, is probably when the vibes kick in, and you're reminded that okay, there's a big single cylinder underneath you, and it reminds you of that. But yeah, apart from that, if you're that relaxed rider who likes to sit in that 80 to 90 or 90 to 100 range all day long on the highway, or if you want that easy rider bike where you can be careless with the gears in terms of which gear you're in, or that every alternate speed breaker you don't have to ram all the way down to first gear to get going, that sort of a bike, then I think this one is going to make a lot of sense for you. And the second favorite part among all of this is that it sounds really well. Once you open up the throttle, it's very addictive. It's loud, and it definitely is a head turner. So what about the other basic things now? Suspensions, brakes and all. Well, the seat is actually quite comfortable. Seat height is also quite comfortable. It's just about 803 mm. Pretty much anybody above 5'4" should be easily be able to flat foot. So that's not an issue. The seat itself is also comfortable. The pillion seat maybe not so much. Basically the front part of the bike is nice and chunky and looks big, but it sort of finishes off quite fast. And the pillion seat probably is one thing that is also compromised during this, the size of it at least. If you're having a pillion with this amount of torque available in the bottom gears, you definitely need a backrest. And I think that's something you should definitely consider. In terms of the actual suspensions, the suspensions handle that 0 to 100 speeds very well. After that, it doesn't really keep up with the speed, so it gets bumpy on the highways. Because if you're trying to maintain 120 and on highways there are a little bit of bumps and wavy roads, it sort of exaggerates that a bit. So 0 to 100, everything's good. After that, it sort of gets okay, don't forget who I am. I'm basically a single cylinder and I'm kind of on budget suspensions. Coming to the brakes, the particular bike we rode had a lot of brake fade. That was because the pads were, when we got it, at least the pads were sort of like smoothened out. We got it rubbed and things were fine. So initially I was a bit scared. I'm like, whoa, this bike with this amount of torque is not having enough good brakes. But yeah, once we scrubbed them, and I think things were much better. So I think and this was basically a test bike as well, so it would have been abused a lot. So once you get a new bike and once don't keep dragging the brake too much, you should be fine. And the brakes are actually good. Dual channel ABS is standard, good any day. And coming to build quality, well, that's probably where I find a little bit of issues. There are some familiar parts that we've seen on the XMR, especially the clutch switch, which is too feeble. This is the second bike I've seen. When we got it itself, the clutch switch itself is broken, so which means we have to always bring it down to neutral to start. So that is a bit weird. And probably where it's placed also, it should have been placed somewhere else, so that it's not always in the regular contact area. So especially in parking, when other handlebars will come and clip on it, it'll break. So that is one thing you should look out for. Yeah, and apart from that, yeah, overall there have been some weird choices of plastics. It seems faded. Yeah, you can see that this has been built to a price. Not technically a bad thing. You are getting a lovely motorcycle at that price. So it is a compromise, but I think at the price point you really cannot complain. And which variant you should choose? I would say don't choose the spoke wheel variant. Choose the alloy first variant, the mid variant, the alloy variant. Because the one above that gets all the connected features, which is fancy when you buy the bike, but 2 weeks down the line you're not really thinking about it at all. So that is the variant that I would suggest, the mid variant. I don't remember the colors which are available in the mid variant, but if I remember currently, the maroon comes in the mid variant. I think that is one of the best looking colors on this bike as well. So coming to the actual handling, so all that torque means you need something that is feels stable on the road as well. So it feels light. I mean, even though in the category it comes up to, I believe, 187 kgs. 187 kgs with the alloy wheels. I feel the handling is actually quite nice. The vehicle is well balanced, so you don't really feel the weight, especially when taken out of side stand or even in slow traffic. And the good point of having all that torque is that even at low speeds, it just pulls away. So there is no stress of that, you need to balance it for too long at slow speed. You give a little bit of throttle and the vehicle stabilizes itself, and it's really fun to ride. Around corners, it probably deserves better tires. The MRFs, the one which you got, were probably a little bit twitchy. Those kind of tires then comes back at you, and then you'll be like, I wish Hero gave it traction control, because there's a lot of torque. Probably a little bit stickier tires, and probably in a first change you can change it off and it will be much better. So coming to the most important part, I think a lot of you guys will be waiting for, the mileage of such a big 440 engine. It comes to roughly about 27-28 depending on how you ride. Official numbers are like 35-36. I don't think you will realistically get that unless you are like super sweet with the throttle, but with this amount of torque you will always see yourself not probably hard acceleration, but you'll want to enjoy this torque a lot. So let's say realistically probably close to 30 combined highway and city use. One thing that I need to add is the headlights on the Maverick 440. If you watch this channel regularly, you know that we are not fans of the stock LED headlights that are coming on bikes nowadays. Most of them are below average, but the Maverick 440 has got decent headlights. We don't want to say it's extremely good, but it is much better than what is out there, and it's much focused on the road. It does the basic duties for the speeds that this vehicle is usually comfortable in. So probably about 80 or 90 in the night, it's probably not so great, but yeah, in the city speeds it is pretty good and it illuminates the road quite well. So guys, that's what the Maverick 440 is all about. It's a fun bike. Don't get scared by the 440 badge. It is still quite easily rideable. You need to get used to the torque. Is it fine for first time users? Yes, be patient, get used to the torque, and within a few weeks you will be absolutely fine, and you'll start enjoying that torque, and you'll start waiting for the torque to kick in, and it's going to kick in very fast because it's available from as low as 2000 rpm. So it's definitely a good bike. I would say a good bike for city use and touring, which is not probably high speed touring, probably the touring where you sit at 80 to 100, because beyond that it gets a little bit of tingling on the vibes, handlebars, and you hear noises that you shouldn't hear. So the sweet spot of the bike is in that 0 to 100 area for touring, and in the highways, yeah, sit at 100 and you can still sit at 100 all day. And of course, so the basics, if you want a quick accelerating bike, you want a easy city riding bike, you want a bike that is going to be relaxed on the highways, and of course a well sounding bike, yeah, then the Hero Mavrick 440 is for you. If you have any questions, do drop them in the comment below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.